So first of all, this is week 2. I'm documenting this on Substack, probably YouTube, and maybe LinkedIn. We'll see how far we get. Maybe we only get week 3 or month 3, but I'm documenting anyways. So this week, what I've done is I finished copy for the landing page, published it, created some Google Ads to test. I'm now running the Google Ads, and I know that the campaign was terrible. But anyway, I wanted to test to see what happens, and this is what happens when you run a terrible campaign. I've got 0 clicks, 0 impressions, 0. Everything is in zeros. And I'll have to work on that later on today. So I published the landing page. Oh, I'll show you the landing page. And I published the Google Ads campaign. This is a landing page. I really liked the landing page, how it turned out, because it really communicates the idea and the values behind the brand, which is for me the most important thing. You know, the product, it has to be good. And yes, it also has to be great. But the brand, like there's no margin for the brand to be good. The brand has to be great. And with this landing page, I really wanted to communicate the values and the ideas behind the brand, because that's part of what we're testing. We're testing messaging. We're testing if the values of the brand actually resonate with the target market or not. Now that I'm getting to the point of testing, and not only in the discovery space, now that I'm in the testing phase, I'm thinking about the investment that this will require. And so I'm thinking about what the ROI on this investment will be. So thinking about the financials is very important. The business model at this point, it's not that really important, because maybe your idea doesn't even make it to market. So don't waste time on the business model. Invest more time on validating the idea, validating the messaging, validating the brand, and all of that. I think that's it. Overall, those are like the things that I can name, but I'm obviously coming up with a lot of ideas for this product in terms of how we're going to market, what the brand's going to look like, who the ICP is, who could potentially be brand ambassadors for this, and how we're going to sell this, like which are going to be the channels, and so on. So lots of ideas. For today's update, the only thing that we have is we now have an Instagram account. I so don't like Instagram, but for a direct to consumer CPG brand, Instagram is a channel that you really need to be in. It's basically non-negotiable, especially if you're building brand from scratch. It's your distribution channel, basically. Direct to consumer, you need to be there. So as much as I dislike Instagram for this product category, for CPG, B2C, direct to consumer, you need to be on Instagram. So I'm in there, and I was also cleaning the copy from the landing page. Based on the target market, we had to clean it up, we had to include some keywords, and so I hope we get more conversions from them. So that's it for the update on what we did today. Today's Thursday, and no, today's Friday. So I'll have more updates tomorrow. Okay, so just let's look at how good Claude is. So last week I said we're going to read some case studies on go-to-market for this product category. Now, I'm feeding the information to Claude and saying these are my notes. And Claude says, before you even do anything, take a look at these 3 questions. And that's what I did. Now, let me tell you more about why these 3 questions are so important. Basically, it was something like, where do you see your product? How do you see your product in X place? And can you tell me specifically about these ICP? Which is such an important question, because when I talk about ICPs or buyer personas or so on, like usually I hear people talking about a very general profile. Like you could be talking about anyone, basically. And that's not what you want. You want to name this person. You really want to know who this person is, who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, why they will listen, and so on. So that's why I think that asking yourself questions similar to the ones Claude made is so important, because it's not only about defining this person, but it's also about defining in your head, do I want to talk to this person? Do I want to serve this person? Do I want to create for this person? That is a key. Now, besides these questions of who am I talking to, why am I talking to them, and so on, I have created a list of things that I was thinking about throughout this week. So I've been thinking about brand, I've been thinking about product, but there's a crucial thing that we haven't talked about, which is not only product market fit, but founder product fit or product founder fit, which is why I created a list of 3 questions that I think are crucial to define whether this is the idea for you or not. So the first question is, how long am I willing to work on this idea? Am I willing to spend days on this idea, weeks on this idea, months on this idea? Like, how long? Because you're going to have to spend an immense amount of time, a ridiculous and insane amount of effort to be able to see some results. So how long are you willing to wait? How long do you want to be working on this project or this idea? If the answer is just a couple of weeks or a couple of months, do an experiment. Don't launch a product. If you want to see results with a product, you have to be willing to wait. You have to be willing to put in the work, see nothing for weeks, and then see compounded results over time. And then the second question is differentiation. So I had like a sort of a breakthrough this week with this product or experiment, because I was thinking that differentiation was in the brand, that the brand was going to make this product very different. But then that leads to the question, will that be enough for people to buy this product once and to buy this product again? And more often than not, the answer is no. The brand can help you connect with your audience, can help you build a following, can help you create trust, can help people understand if this product is for them or not. But if you want sales, if you want recurring sales, you're going to need a product that has a very clear, sharp, and big differentiator, which is question number 2. And then question number 3 is simply, why me? This is a question that investors would make if you are trying to raise capital. Why me is a crucial question. Like, why do I want to build this product? Why do I want to launch this idea? Because if that's not clear to you, when things get hard, you're probably going to find one thing or the other, or whichever excuse, no matter how small it is, to stop. So you really need to be clear on your why, the reason why you're creating this, the reason why you want to invest so many years in this product or idea. That should be extremely clear to you. Okay, so let's talk about product discovery and product validation. The product is extremely important, even if you have a great brand. And let me emphasize why. So I was diving into branding and what the brand represents and brand equity and all of this stuff. And once I landed on the idea that I wanted for this brand, I realized this brand looks and sounds how I envisioned it. But is that going to get us sales? Yes or no? And that's the bigger question. It is important to create a brand that connects with your audience, that builds trust, that makes your ICP feel as if you're directly talking to them. But it's also super important to create a product that will make people want to come back for more, that you're going to be able to sell, and then people are going to say, you know what, I want to buy that product again. And so you are able to get to a point where clients are loyal to you and where clients are sharing your product with their friends because it's just that good. That's what you want to achieve. When it comes to product validation and product discovery, I was also thinking about when to kill your ideas, which is such a big question, because it is so hard when you have an idea and you've created these assumptions in your head that it's a great idea because you want that idea and other people will want that idea, and you have this problem and other people might have that problem too. So you build all of these assumptions in your head, then you do some testing and the market tells you otherwise. And it is very hard to know when to kill your ideas. And the more time you spend in your head, the harder it gets. The more time that you spend in your head telling yourself that this is a great idea, that this solves a problem, that there is a market for this, the more time that you are convincing yourself that this is a solution. And then you do some testing and your assumptions get challenged, and that's when it gets hard. So you really need to be clear on, if the market says that they don't want this, we are going to pivot. We are going to evolve this idea. And if needed, we're going to kill this idea so we can have a better idea. With these products, and when I say these products, I mean any type of product, basically, a SaaS, a B2B, a B2C, a CPG, whatever. With products, something that you really need to understand is you have to keep going. When I started running, years ago, I never thought that I was going to be running the amount of kilometers that I'm running today. And I'm not saying I'm an athlete or I'm running a marathon, like nothing like this. I'm just saying that if you keep going, what you're able to achieve far exceeds your expectations. So when I started running years ago, my goal was just, can I run 2 minutes straight without stopping? Can I run 5 minutes straight without stopping? And so that kept piling up. Now, it got to a point where those goals seemed ridiculous because I was able to run so much more. And the amount of effort that you put in, the results from that effort, they just compound. So that's what happens when you have a product and keep going, which is what we're trying to do with this experiment. This experiment may be over in 3 weeks or in 4 weeks. I don't know. But my focus right now is, number one, test to get as much information as possible. And number two, whenever we have to kill this idea, we're going to kill it. Testing and using your tests to find information. That's what the tests and experiments are for. They are for you to find information and for you to validate the problem, the messaging, the idea, and to use the information and the feedback that you get to clean and polish your idea and to gain a deeper understanding of the problem that you're trying to solve. Second thing was nice idea versus where can I buy this? And what I mean by this point is feedback. It's very different for people to see an ad or to see some content and say, nice product, nice packaging, nice idea. That's very different from saying, where can I buy the product? Because where can I buy the product means that there's some intention, there's some interest. Nice idea tells me nothing. So when you get feedback, when you get a message, an email, whatever, you really have to clarify, where is this going? What is behind this? If it's just nice idea, that doesn't really tell us anything. If it's, where can I buy this? You've got something. Now for this second point of where can I buy this, you also have to consider how many people are messaging you. Because if you only have one person who's saying, where can I buy this? That's not enough traction. You want more leads, more people interested, more messages. Then third point was clarifying who your ICP is, your ideal customer profile, clarifying who your buyer persona is so important because your messaging will revolve around that. Your packaging should revolve around that. Your product, your solution should revolve around that. If you understand who your ICP is, if you understand who your buyer persona is, by default, you should also understand what their problems are. So it would make no sense to be building something or creating something for someone who you have no idea who they are, because that's just basically creating for everyone. And when you're creating for everyone, you're targeting no one. You're not talking directly to anyone's pain points. So when you have a very generic approach to your product, your solution, your messaging, you kind of don't generate a genuine interest from anyone. And you really want to appeal to your target audience to talk specifically to their pain points. You want them to see your product and think, that's for me. They're talking to me. They're understanding my pain point. And if you're trying to talk to everyone, that's just not going to happen. Fourth point was assumption testing. So assumption testing, that's also part of what you want to do with your tests and experiments. When you have an idea, more often than not, or in my case, more often than not, I'm running on a lot of assumptions. If I have a product idea, I'm already assuming that there's a problem that this product solves. I'm already assuming that there's a willingness to pay. I'm already assuming that there's a market for this. I'm already assuming that it has some level of differentiation. Like, you're already assuming a lot of things. And if you don't run the tests, if you don't talk with your target audience, you're going to launch with all of those assumptions still in place. And that's not going to give you the results you want. Because you may be talking to someone who doesn't care. You may be talking about a problem that doesn't exist. You may have a pricing strategy that's not the best one or the most appropriate one. You may create a whole brand around something that does not resonate and doesn't connect with your audience and does not build trust. So you don't want to be running on assumptions. You want to create these tests and run these tests so that all of those assumptions that you had are challenged, and you get information and you learn and you iterate and you pivot. You get to a solution that your target audience actually wants and is actually willing to pay for. And then the fifth and final point was lessons from running. So again, this I mentioned yesterday. When I started running, the goal was just to see how far or how much time I could run without stopping. Like, how long can I keep this going? Can I run for 2 minutes? Can I run for 5 minutes? Can I run for 10 minutes? And if you just keep running, you realize you get better results, and you realize that those results start compounding. Like, you can run 1 minute today, and that doesn't necessarily mean that tomorrow you're running 2. Sometimes you can run 1 minute today, then you're running 3 minutes tomorrow, then the next day you're running 5, and then 3 days later somehow you're already running 10 minutes straight without stopping. And the results just compound over time. Sometimes you have to put an insane amount of effort into what you're doing and an insane amount of time. But if you just keep on making that investment, you will get exponential results as time goes by. You know, whatever experiment you're running, I would just approach it with this mindset of, we're testing, we're experimenting, we're learning, we're gaining some clarity. And, you know, you're basically making a toolbox for yourself. So when the actual idea that you should be working on comes, or, you know, you have this aha moment of what you should be building, you have already this toolbox in place. Is all of these tools that you can use and all of this experience that you can bring into this idea that you are going to take to market.